Hi there, and welcome to another episode of the Caravan Doctor. What are we going to talk about today? You'll find out in just a second. Today I've chosen to give you a little bit more information about what we're dealing here in this channel and with what I like to keep myself occupied in my free time. So this channel started roughly about 2 years ago thanks to my wife, which pushed me into starting to do this thing and to share all my experience that I've had around with the caravans ever since that time. And to be fair, we've went to quite a bit. We've had really old caravans which are roughly my age. I think it was only 1 year younger than me. So did we had a few mid-ranges which are not bad but just need a little bit more love and maintenance, and ending up to something like this, which is getting closer and closer to the modern 2026 caravans, but we're not there just yet. So throughout the time we've dealt with quite a few, as I said, but at the minute we've got our hands on this little beauty, which is actually quite an interesting story how it became my possession. So this is my Coachman Pasticcio 564, which is a 2010 to 2011 model, which actually still has all the necessary requirements and comfortability to rival a modern day caravan, but is slightly different. And what do I mean by that, you'll probably ask yourselves. So this caravan, being a 2010, is still a wooden framed built caravan. So I just want to mention that the new caravans that we like to see and we go to the expos and we really enjoy, they're modern in the way that they've been built. This one, absolute classic. That's why it is way heavier than something new on the market, but it still gives us all the comfortability, the space and the security that we want from a caravan of this size. The story behind this one is actually far more fascinating than would a normal person think. So I didn't just browse through Facebook groups or eBay or Gumtree or the local caravan dealer places, the small ones I mean, because my pocket is not deep enough to go into something, that is across the line over there, something that's worth about 20 grand. I actually found this one on an interesting website which is called Copart. So this site is actually a place where you go and get yourself either a banked up cheap car that you want to drive until it dies, or if you want to find yourself a nice looking motor which is fairly new, has some stuff to get done to it, but is actually in shape that can get it back on the road safely. What I was doing in one of the normal afternoons whilst browsing through the market, because apart from just looking for caravans for myself, I like to help other people that are looking for caravans and they're pretty much beginner stage and they have almost no clue of what and where to look for so they don't get themselves, done over. In a normal afternoon like that, I was just browsing through Copart, just chancing it to see what is out there on the market. And lucky me, there was about 3 or 4 options that you could choose from. So we had a really old Avondale, which was not worth it because just browsing the pictures, it looked like it would need hell of a lot of work done to it. The other option was something fairly newer than this, getting closer to 2020, but it was suffering with some fire damage, which again is something that can get repaired, but you need an enclosed space where you could strip the caravan fully and then start working on the different aspects, either being the walls, the floor, or some of the equipment that is inside there. And last but not least, I stumbled upon this little thing, which off the pictures looked actually very nice. I was expecting there was probably some leftover stuff from the previous owners, but lucky me, it came empty, absolutely empty. And by saying that, I'm not trying to over-exaggerate. So usually when you go in a caravan like that someone's used, and you can actually see that it's been used, what do you find in the different places? Opening up the drawers here and there, there's usually some leftover bits that the people used in their previous use. But this one, absolutely empty. The only thing I could find was some sort of lights that really resemble the ones that we have already mounted because they were supposed to get changed. Usually the drawers, again, there's bits and bobs in there. You got your normal water pump, which usually sits in here somewhere, in the sink. There is sometimes stuff underneath the bed. That is my box over there, don't get confused. I can continue like that for a little bit longer, but I shouldn't because there's nothing in here. This caravan was absolutely cleaned out, but that was all shown on the photos. The other information you get from that website is basically the state of it. Like you have with a car, you should be able to know, is it roadworthy? What kind of category is it if it's been involved in some sort of accident or collision? With the caravan, you should expect exactly the same thing. And in my case, this one was saying that the caravan is in good order, everything's working, there ain't no structural problems. But what happened? After going through all this information, I thought that it's not a bad chance for me to have a go at this caravan and see at what price is it gonna fall down at the end. So I waited for the time of the auction and I started bidding. It was a couple of people over there which wanted to have the caravan, but I managed to outbid them with a quite reasonable price, if I may say, which was just over £4,000. Just so it's clear, when you say a price at an auction, that is not necessarily the end price you're going to pay for it. Because I don't know if you're aware, but you've got different fees that you need to pay, collection method. If you decide that you want it delivered to your house, it's just a little bit more involved. But let's generalize it. There is fees that you need to be aware of. Otherwise, the price it falls out, it's definitely not going to be the one that you're going to pay at the end. Right, saying that, I managed to win the auction. And what happened after that, I had 5 days to get the caravan from their compound into my caravan lockup to be able to start looking around what's going on with it, and if need be, start doing work to it. And this is where a friend of mine came into play. Shane decided to help me out with towing the caravan over from Wolverhampton to our location close to Peterborough. So he took a day to go and collect it. Afterwards, I helped him so we can bring it back in here, park it up and start looking around to see what's wrong with it. And as receiving the caravan at first, it didn't have any markings on the outside that would say that there's going to be any problems with it. I had a nice good look around it, all the windows, everything looked correct, everything opened up, all the hatches and the different places that we needed to be able to open were working, and everything was in good condition. Or was it? Because there was something hidden that neither Copart said, but neither I checked on the pictures. So after the caravan turned up here, I had to go around, like I said, and have a good look around it, and something gave me a little bit of a weird impression, and that was the hitch. So that led me to contact a mobile engineer could be able to swing by, have a quick look around himself and just give me some sort of information of the actual state of the caravan. Because I had this crazy idea with the recently purchased caravan from an auction website to get it out and start using it as soon as possible. But that did not happen. So when the engineer came around, I was at work and my wife had to give him access to the caravan so he can have a browse. And what he ended up finding out was, I would say, a little bit close to shocking. So as it ends up, this caravan, as good as it's looking, has been involved in an accident. What is the accident though? The accident was actually the caravan came off the tow bar of the car that was pulling it and dragged on the road. It wasn't that much smashed in the front, but the damage was taken by the very front bit. So when the caravan came off the tow bar, which is the front, then all of this suffered some damage, which was not very nice. And apparently, Copart should have stated that before me sending over Shane to tow the caravan away. So as it happens, the whole front of the caravan was compromised because the hitch, which is caught in 4 locations, 2 on each side of the actual continuation of the chassis, has snapped from the backside, which leaves the whole ram compromised and moving freely. So it was pretty much attached to the front and the backside was just bouncing up and down. Luckily, nothing happened and the caravan reached here safely. But that was something that I would have to address straight away after being told from the engineer that this caravan is actually not roadworthy, which again gives you a little bit of a point. If you want to do something like that, please check with the people that are putting the caravan on an auction that you're aware of all the information and the state of the caravan. Otherwise, you might get into a bigger trouble. So what I'd done afterwards is contacted my local shop, which helps me out with quite a bit of the stuff that I do with the caravans, which is Pioneer. It's located in Eye and is relatively close to me. Went over there, explained the situation, showed him some pictures and information for the size, the weight of the caravan, and we dug up through the catalogs and we ended up with the right model of a hitch replacement, which is actually not cheap. It costed about £500 to buy the parts and then to do the work myself, tightening it up correctly and adjusting the brakes afterwards. Having done all that, I thought that that is going to be everything that I would need to do with this Caravan. I'll need to clean it up a little bit, maybe sort out some small little issues like the missing blinds over there, which separates the two compartments, because I have the door, but the blinds are actually missing. A couple of lights here and there, a few light switches, nothing major. No. We ended up to the second state, which was gathering up all the minimum necessary equipment that we need to run the Caravan, which is, again, another challenge. So we started off with getting a water pump, which we didn't have, getting a gas bottle, getting water barrels for the clean and for the dirty water, discovering whilst going through the Caravan that there is no cassette toilet. We had to get a cassette toilet with a freshening up kit, which again, piled up, and it ended up being a few £100 to get the necessary bits. Considering that some of them are second-hand, not everything is brand new, because otherwise we're going to get closer to the thousands. On completing that mission as well, we've realized now that we've got all the necessary components to get the Caravan working. So I started checking all the individual systems, having to go through water, electricity, that is 230 volt and 12 volt, just to make sure that everything operates as it should. And lucky me, this time it did work, but only 90%, because I ended up with a few things that I need to look at as well. One of them being this Tetford cassette toilet, which does not want to flush, but I've figured out a good way to check if it's actually the button. Is it the little control module, which is down at the bottom right on the back of the cassette? Or is it something to do with the pump, which is inside here? But we'll get that when we get there, because that is not a thing that I'm really concerned with, because the parts and the labor that will get involved in here is not that much. There's actually something more concerning that is in our path at the minute, and I've already started working on it. Let me show you what it is. So this fridge, which is not very bad looking, to be fair. Let me show you the inside as well. It needs a bit of a clean, yeah, nothing major, but had a little problem. So this fridge was actually working on 240 volt, but it didn't want to kick in on gas properly. What it does was ignite, keep the igniter working, and after that just cut off the flow of gas because it thought something is not right, which is obviously, you know, a prevention from the actual fridge going bust, and I understand that, but I had to deal with the situation somehow. So what I've ended up doing is opening up the backside of the fridge just to realize what's going on over there, and I had to take the igniter out thinking that that could be a possible solution. So I took it out, compared the parts, got another replacement part, fitted a new one in. Guess what happened? Nothing changed. Actually, it got even worse. So the fridge did not want to ignite at all this time, and for some reason it cut out working into 240 volts as well. That made me go further, which meant I had to strip out more and more of the back of the fridge, because I wanted to make it work on all of its options so I can use it correctly when I'm out caravanning. But that did not help. I stripped out the entire control board and I took it back to the garage, where I'm still trying to figure out where to get this part sorted, because unfortunately they do not longer sell them as a replacement part, because through the years they've realized that there is a problem there and they've stopped making these control boards at all. So the only options are either having it sent somewhere here in England to get it repaired, or if that don't happen, maybe have to bite the bullet and take the whole fridge out and replace it with a new one, which will be costly. So I do not want to go down that path. That's why I'm still researching and trying to find places where I can send the PCB board to get sorted out. But in the meantime, I need to start getting back to the Caravan, getting it wrapped up, prepared for the season, dealing with all these other issues to try and get the Caravan moving. So for the minute, this is where I stand. We're coming out of the wet season, pretty much, I would say, and there will be more and more free time over the weekends to be able to come over and resolve the last of the issues that I think I have with this Caravan. So this was a brief overview of what this Caravan is, how I got it in my possession, and basically what I've done to it so far. And if you're stumbling upon me for the first time, I would like to welcome you to the Caravan Doctor, a place where we explore all the caravans, their use, the way we can repair them, and also try and cover all the information from the brand new models, from the big manufacturers, and bringing them closer to you, the people that actually use them. Thanks for joining me today, and see you in the next one.